Welcome back to another episode. This week we're going to do a full honest review rundown of our boat. It's a 6-monthly review. So we got this boat, we officially got it in about April, and we've taken it all the way from Esperance, south of WA, all the way up to Broome, which is where we are now. It's over 2,500 Ks if you drive it, but obviously the little detours and stuff, it's way more than that. So we wanted to talk you through all the main features that have performed really well, things that we would change on the build, and any other useful information we think for people that might be looking at buying a boat similar to this, or they want a touring boat, fishing boat, anything like that. We're just giving you all our feedback on this boat.
So for those of you that haven't been following our journey from the start, I was at the Perth Boat Show in September of last year. Yeah. And I was going to do a talk on fishing, boating, tackle, all that kind of stuff. And I got a message from Andre, the owner of Blue Dog Boats, saying, "Hey mate, love what you're doing. Would love to catch up. I want to give you a boat, or I want to fully custom make you a boat." Crazy message. We've done a full series on this. It's very exciting and has led to our crazy adventures. However, he's basically said, take this boat all over WA, take it as far and wide as you can, up and down the coast. And as Em just said, we've gone from Esperance to Broome. We wanted a boat that we could tow with our Prado, so it couldn't be big or too big. We still want to be able to get it in creeks, get it up and down river systems, take it out wide as far as we can. As you know, we love demersal fishing.
So just to be clear and honest with everyone, we don't own this boat. It's owned by Blue Dog, but it was a sponsored boat to us to then take it around Australia and showcase what it can do, show that it's the ultimate touring boat, show the capabilities, that sort of thing. And we think we've well and truly put it to the limits and tested it. We've put over 500 hours on the engine in about 5 months, or 5 or 6 months. So it's been well and truly used, but we're only just getting started. We've got way more plans for this boat. We've got way more trips we want to do on it, heaps of like pretty fast sends, and yeah, show its true capabilities and show what it can do to everyone, so that if you're thinking about buying a boat like this, or a touring boat, fishing boat, whatever you're looking for, then you can see the actual capabilities of these boats. So this boat is a 5510 center console Reef Hopper made by Blue Dog Boats, and the hull design is from CNC Marine. So the overall length is 5.5 meters, but it measures 6.2. The beam is 2.25 meters, and the overall height is 2.5 meters. The tow weight is about 1.5 tonne, and it's licensed to carry 6 people, up to 500 kilos. Max engine size is 175 horsepower. We've got a 140 Suzuki on the back, and it can carry 150 litres of fuel. And it comes basic with a 150 litre fuel tank with the capacity to add more. So the thickness of the alley, the bottom's 5mm, the sides are 4mm, and the deck is 4mm as well.
So when designing and creating a custom built boat, what's the most important factor? In my opinion, it's the hull. So what are you actually going to be using this boat for? Where are you going to be taking it? What are the weather conditions predominantly going to be like? These are all the things you need to start thinking about. So for us, we love deep sea fishing, out in the ocean, want to get out there in any conditions, but then if we can't, we want to be able to take the boat up a river system and have a flick for barra, mulloway, that kind of stuff. So for our build, we've gone extra high sides, wider gunnels than usual, a wider beam to give us more space in the boat, more protection, what feels like a better ride, and a lot more stability. So when you're deep dropping, casting, jigging, doing all that kind of stuff, you can lean right up against these. Nothing's getting in your way, and you feel very comfortable and confident in the boat. If you've ever been in a really small tinny where it's rocking around and moving and you can fall over the side, you know exactly what I mean. So to fish that skinny water where you're going to be chasing estuary fish, or going through island systems, or potentially up in the Kimberley where you're going to be drying out and there's rocks and bommies everywhere, you want the boat to be drawing as small amount of water as possible when at rest, or even just driving through that small stuff. So it hasn't been measured exactly on this boat to my knowledge, but we have been in about 20 to 30 mil of water, and it will kind of float. So if we're going to be on the safe side and honest, let's say 40, but I reckon you could get away with pushing the boat through 30 mil. You're probably not going to be able to drive it because it's just dumb and you're going to bang up the prop, but it has a really, really shallow draw level. So if that's something that interests you, this is a perfect kind of boat for that. And it has got us out of trouble a lot of times. You've probably seen me get into trouble a few times. But generally I can get out pretty quickly, because once a little bit of water gets underneath it, even on my own, I can push it around and get out of that issue. So we've got the big girl on the back here. We've got a 140 Suzuki. We've previously had Yamaha engines on our other boats, being the kind of workhorse or Toyota of the engine world. However, when we were building this boat with Andre, he said the new Suzukis are the most fuel efficient engines. A lot of the commercial guys are starting to use them. And as he knew we were going to be doing a lot of miles out in the boat, this could help us save a bit of money. Now I'll give you a quick rundown of the performance it's had over the last 6 months with us and our average stats. So when we're traveling, our boat is fully loaded. It's our house, it's our trailer, it's our caravan, it's got all our crap in it. So when we go out for day missions, it's quite heavy. It's also got me and M, all our fishing gear, all our storage. The boat's quite loaded up. So when we're just going for a normal trip, the conditions are good. We will be using between 0.7 and 0.8 litres per nautical mile, cruising at about 24 to 28 knots. It's in a lot of our videos, we show it all the time. It's super fuel efficient, pretty decent speed for a boat this size. If the weather is a bit rougher, we will use between 0.9 and 1.1 litres per nautical mile, so still very, very fuel efficient. That's fully loaded up, all jerry cans, like 400 litres of fuel, all our stuff, still cruising at that 24 to 28, maybe a bit slower because the conditions aren't as good, pushing into a front-on swell. If we're trolling, depending what speed we're going, if we can keep that 8 to 10 knots, it will use 1.2 to 1.4 litres per nautical mile, as it's in an awkward rev range. But if we can have no current, good swell, it will use less. It'll still use that 1 to 1.2. But generally when you're trolling, you're going a bit of a weird speed, you're going over lumps, boat pushes up, pushes down, so it's going to use a bit more fuel. But still, overall, super fuel efficient. A little bit quieter than the Yami, I reckon. Makes it a little nice hum. And yeah, I like it. So I'm not an engine snob. I don't care if it's Merc, Suzuki, Yami, like them all. But yeah, for fuel efficiency and all the trips and sends we've done on this, it has ticked all the boxes so far. Heaps of power out of the start, cruises along nicely, and it's super fuel efficient, which was the main thing we wanted. So the max speed of this engine, which was tested when it was fitted, was apparently 37 or 38 knots dry. That would have been out in the Swan River, so in ideal conditions. We haven't really pushed it to see how fast we can get it because we haven't had many glass out days in the last 6 months. But when we're in the Buccaneer Archipelago recently, boat fully loaded up, conditions were ideal, put the foot down, and I think we got 35 knots with all the weight on board. So it can get up and move. The rev range still isn't going crazy through the roof, so there is the potential to change the prop and give it a bit more speed. We just have an aluminium prop on it, so you could go to stainless. That might get you that little bit more performance. But as we're constantly beach launching on the beach, boats getting dry in reef systems, we've gone for an alley prop. And we've actually replaced this one recently because the other one got dinged up a little bit not too long ago. So with this boat, we've got a 140 on the back. It's licensed to go up to 175, but with Blue Dog's CNC, all custom builds, you could beef up the transom and you could go a bit of a bigger engine on it. I'm quite happy with this, and obviously money is a big factor in determining what engine you can get. But if I had more money, I'd always go as big as the boat would fully allow, or get another engine and have 2 on the back. So one of the main questions we get about this boat, and I think CNC are becoming quite famous for here in Australia, are the big reverse chines. So a lot of boat manufacturers don't make these, and I have absolutely no idea why. Since going from our press plate tinny before this, which has a bit of a chine, to this, you see a crazy amount of difference in ride, dryness, and overall stability of the boat. So when you're driving into swell, the water will come up, hit the chime, and spray out to the side. I think it actually looks quite cool as well, but the main factor of this is keeping the boat dry. So center consoles, they all get wet. We've all been in them. We know that. First question we always get asked, oh, how dry is it? Now, honest review, we're going to tell you everything. It is a super dry boat, and you'll see from all the reviews of everyone that we've had come in the boat, that's going to be the #1 thing they say as well, which is surprising. It's a center console. So we very rarely get wet. We've done heaps of videos showing this, cornering onto chop, big waves, big swell, big winds. However, when it does get wet, you need about an 80 to 20 knot wind going horizontal to the boat, and you need to be angling into some pretty serious gross swell. So not just rolling swell, it needs to be choppy up and down, bit of like a washing machine, because your boat's gonna pop up, slap down. The chimes aren't really pushing the water back, it's pushing it up, and then the wind blows it in. And that very, very rarely happens. And you'll see in all our videos, we hardly ever have our rain jackets on. We're generally always dry. The boat stays dry, the rods stay dry. It's a super dry boat, and it's to do with these reverse chimes. So when you first get into boating, you hear a lot of people talking about these reverse chimes, especially on plate boats. You're like, what are these things? What they are is this underside section that's turned up to create a flat surface that traps the water under the hull. It can create faster planing, a smoother ride, and mainly making the boat drier. So it can get you up on the plane a little bit quicker. It can help with turning, so you get a bit more stability in the turn. And yeah, as I said, spraying the water away from the boat rather than on a standard boat where you just have a little bit of a lip, the water comes up, pushes over the side, and the wind blows it in. You'll see on the big American boats, these are extremely exaggerated and they have a really large flared hull, which to my understanding, you can go too far with that. So there is a bit of a science to matching the shape of the flare to the reverse chine to get the ultimate stability, ride, and dryness in the boat. Another question everyone's always asking, what's a dead rise? What's a dead rise? What's a dead rise? I don't even think people know what dead rise is or what it even means. I didn't. It basically means the sharper the hull, the higher the dead rise. So in an offshore boat, you want a larger dead rise, somewhere between 16 to 19. And then for a more estuary style boat or flat fronted boat, which means it's going to have a lower dead rise, between 0 to 16, the lower the better. It's going to give it more stability at rest, but it's going to be harder to get through the chop. So with a boat like this, you want a sharp angled dead rise to push through the chop, and it's still going to be stable at rest. Obviously, if you have a little flat punt boat that's sitting there, there's no sharpness at the front, it doesn't need to push through anything. A transport boat, a tender, a little boat that you're just going to fish out of in the estuary, it doesn't need this because it's never leaving the estuary. But yeah, when people go, what's the dead rise? Sharper, the more it's going to push through chop. So on this boat, the dead rise is 18 degrees. This is also a factor that is completely up to you and customizable that Andre will make to whatever you think is specific to your location. So if you live down south, big swell, rolling, crashing waves, potential, I don't know why you'd be out in those conditions. So you can make the dead rise adaptable to that. If you live up in Karratha, you're not getting big swell, but you're getting short, sharp, choppy waves. You might go a different option depending on what you like out at sea. So performance trade-offs, if you just think higher is better and you go really high, it can decrease dynamic lift, speed, and propulsion. So you might actually be losing efficiency, fuel efficiency, stability, turning, all that kind of stuff by going too high. So it's a bit of an art. It's going to match the hull, and that's something that you want to talk to the boat builder about to get exactly right. Or if there's boats you've been on and you can figure out what dead rise they are, work out a few different factors, bring that to the boat builder, and you can get the perfect setup for your next boat.
So for the electronics, we've got a 16-inch Simrad S3 Evo sounder, and we paired that with a TM265 low-high 1 kilowatt chirp transducer. It's got a low function, which is good for reading ground at depths of 100 to potentially up to 1,000 meters. It's got a thinner beam, so you need to be going a bit slower to pick up the fish, and a high function, which we run at 200 kilohertz. And we use that to read ground up to 80 meters. When we're in sort of 80 to 120, we'll run them both to see what's going to pick up the ground better. So we actually think if you're regularly fishing under 80 meters, a better option could be the TM275 low-high wide. So it's got a wider beam, which is going to pick up bigger amount of ground, so more suited to places like Karratha and Perth where it doesn't get that deep as far as you go out. But we picked ours because we were going to be fishing around Exmouth and the Ningaloo a lot where it gets deep really quickly. So we went with ours because we wanted the option to pick up bigger fish in really deep water. So we were going to be fishing for ruby snapper, gold band snapper, and those sort of fish where they're only found in those really deep oceans. So not long after we actually put this sounder in, they brought out the S4 Evo, which would be an option you could consider just to get the more updated tech. Another option to just increase how much fish you can get in this boat would be to get a 3-in-1 transducer so that you can sound up barra. Or if you wanted to splash some cash, you could go for the full Monty and get the live scope. It's all well and good to have all the tech, but if it's not set up correctly, you won't be able to find the fish. We are no expert in transducers, which we're very honest about, but Andre has fitted this one perfectly to match this hull. We can actually sound ground at 30 knots and then come back and mark fish later. So he's actually put this on a removable bracket. So if we're beach launching or anything like that, if we get bogged at the Monties, you can actually move this out of the way. So just to protect it that little bit more. With our boat, we wanted a heap of storage in it because it carries a lot of our fishing gear that stays in it all the time. So this cast deck we found is actually plenty of storage for us. We keep all of our stuff in here all the time because we're traveling. We also got these little locks put on so that you can lock these when we're not actually using the boat. So these have a little lock that you can tighten in here, keep that all secure. We were thinking about it and about what we'd change, and the only real thing we could think of was to extend the actual cast deck to the center console. Not sure if you could do that. I'm not sure if that's an engineering issue, that it can't be that big or it can't be that heavy at the top. But that would be the only thing we could change if you needed more storage. But like I said, we carry all our fishing gear, everything we have in the boat at all times. It's almost used as a little bit of a trailer sometimes, to be honest. But yeah, we've found that we've got plenty of storage. But if you wanted more, you could do that. I've also seen something cool, which Reef Addicts did, which was have a section of their cast deck refrigerated, like insulated through here, which I think would be neat, but we have put our esky here. The other thing that we did on our recent trip to the Buccaneer is we put our swag up here. It didn't fit perfectly. Sorry about the birds if you can hear those. But yeah, the swag didn't fit perfectly, but it fit enough with the esky there that we could sleep up here. So it fits two people. I mean, neither of us are that tall, but you could just squeeze in on here if you wanted to. So we were filming this morning and then our camera overheated and turned off. So we've come back to film it this afternoon and now there's birds, huge flock just flying around.
Screeching.
So yeah, screeching loudly. So sorry if you can hear that, but I was going to tell you about the gas struts we would have put on the cast deck. So when we were building the boat, Andre recommended to use some gas struts to open through here. We opted against it because we wanted this to move a bit more freely and open it all the way so we could shovel our stuff in there, which has worked really well. If we were just storing our boat at our house and driving it to the boat ramp when we were launching it for overnight or for the day or whatever, we definitely would have done that. So you can just flick it open and then it would come up on its own, which would make it a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more luxury. So yeah, we definitely would do that if we weren't traveling around, but we are. So we just wanted it to be a bit more basic.
So we got the center console on our 5510 center console. Now I absolutely love the shape and design of this. So I love the circular bar work and I love the roofing and the spoiler system that Andre likes to put on his boats. Really, really love this design. It's been super user friendly. We've got all our buttons, switches. We've got our Eco X Gear speaker on here, which absolutely pumps. As we've discussed a few times already, it's an extremely dry boat. And being a little bit wider, it actually gives you a bit more protection. Now there's a couple of different options you could probably change with this, depending on what you like and the way you boat. So you could cover these in to give you a bit more protection, even though, as I said, we hardly ever get wet. Another option would be take 200 mil off either side of the center console, make it a bit skinnier and give you a bit more room to walk around the boat. That would take away a bit of the storage, but the pros of that, as Em was discussing before, is if you improved the cast deck, or not improved, just lengthened it all the way to the center console, you'd have more storage, potential room for a fridge, and more space to cast from. I don't find that anyone ever does anything in this area. Like, you never really fish from here. You can fish from here, here, and right at the back. So I personally think that can be a bit of wasted space. All boats are designed that way though. So yeah, whether you can't do that for weight distribution or there's another reason, whatever, but I think that could be a cool design. It won't look as well or as aesthetic, but I think for fishability or the way to get around the boat, that would be a great change. So Andre put a quad lock on this, which is actually a bit of a game changer in terms of boating. I never even had one. He's like, go get a case for your phone. I'll put a quad lock on it. I was like, righto. It's awesome, charges wirelessly. It'd be great to have one for Em as well. So we thought about putting another one on, but she's got a different cover on her phone. Then you can use them both to charge. They don't move. We've been over crazy wild weather. They don't bump around at all. You could also have one phone running Navionics if you don't have that on your sounder or you don't have two screens. We have got Navionics NC map on the sounder, so that's not really an issue for us. That's something I really like. I like the setup of it. There's heaps of room, nothing's cluttered, it's all neat and tidy. Something that you could improve this with or change, same thing, it's all preference, depending on your fishability, is to have a little bit more of a shelf here, slightly angled up. You can put all your spare stuff there, lures, car keys, your phone, whatever, or a little shelf down here, same thing. That's just personal preference. Underneath here we keep a 15-litre Engel. We can get a slightly bigger one in there, which has been a game changer on longer missions. It can freeze your fish overnight, keep your bait in it, keep your lunch in it, keep it all nice and cool. We could put a drawer system in there, so you could have a slide out fridge, or you could just have drawers or cupboards. Then you could have all your tools, tackle neatly in there. However, on this boat, there already is tons and tons of storage. So we did decide to keep this as a bit of an open storage area so that you can get big things out of there nice and easily. These are just some suggestions that I'm making for other people if they were going to design a boat like this, just to keep them thinking. Because there's always things you change, improve, build upon. For us, it's working fine, but yeah, there's always going to be slight things that you can change, and all we have to do is talk to the boat builder to get them changed in. So we've got the seat box here, which was a bit of a thing of contention at the start. I didn't want one, Em wanted one, and Andre welded it in, so we had one. It has been super handy though, because as Em has said previously, we need a lot of room for storage because the boat is essentially our trailer and we are traveling around Australia. So massive amounts of storage in here. We've got heaps of stuff in there. This is where we keep our safety stuff, life jackets, tools, anything that we need to get to quickly to fix the boat if we get in trouble or if we get in trouble ourselves. We also keep our floatable, I don't know, there's heaps of room. Originally this had a backrest on it, which Em loved. You could flip it either way, so if we're trolling, she could sit back, you can kind of kick back and relax on it. I took it off as it was getting away in the bit of fishing, and it just annoyed me a little bit. So overall, the seat has been good. Negatives of it is being quite large. It does take up a bit of deck space. So I originally didn't want it so that we could roll the swag out the back when we're camping on islands and doing missions up in the Kimberley, so forth. However, we can roll the swag out on the front and it does just fit. So if you're any taller than 6 foot, you would have to move the center console back a little bit, but you can arrange all that. What I would do in the future is I would have a standing up captain's chair with a slide out angle underneath, which would give you a bit more room. Or I would even go simple removable chairs so that when I do get to the location, I can just pop the chairs out, chuck them in the gunnel or chuck them up the front and then still roll the swag out underneath. 2 individual chairs would probably be the way to go. Em does love this because it's super comfy and it's massive, so she's happy with it, and it does serve a really good purpose while we're traveling. If you're living in Perth or Karratha or somewhere where the boat's just at your house, going to the boat ramp, a few missions here and there, you probably don't need this massive amount of storage. However, this is why Andre kind of pushed it on us, I think, because it has been very valuable and it has suited our travels in terms of locking everything up and safety. If I were to do it again, I would still need storage, but that's where we could extend that cast deck, have a bit more in there, and I would go those removable chairs because that just gives you that little bit more flexibility. So yeah, if you're living in Perth, you probably don't need all this storage. You could go a different type of seating arrangement. However, it's all up to your own preference and what you like.
Probably my favourite part of this boat is the colour. This is my favourite colour. It's also one of Twig's favourite colours as well. So there was no doubt in our minds that we were going to pick this colour for the boat. The only person that wasn't really on board was Andy, Andre's dad. So sorry, Andy. But this has been a bit of a head turner. Lots of people tell us they love the colour. When they see us coming in, it is one of those big bright boats that stands out. So it's kind of doing exactly what we want it to do. We got the boat wrapped. We got it done from Graphic Addiction and Elusive Science, who've obviously done a really beautiful job. Getting your boat wrapped is about a quarter of the price of getting it painted. So that was a thing that we considered as well, because we knew we were taking this boat off-road on off-road tracks, things where it's going to get stone chips and red dirt as well from being in the Pilbara. So we were aware that this boat wasn't going to stay immaculate. It's not one of those trailer boats that goes out 4 or 5 times a year and the paint and the colours and everything can stay pretty slick. It was one that's going to be very well used in a short space of time. So the fact that we could easily just redo the wrap in 5, 6, 7 years once it's had that bit of damage, we were okay with that. The only real thing that we've noticed has damaged this boat, has damaged the wrap a little bit, is some stone chips from the road. They're very, very minor, but they are there. So a thing that we would do on the trailer to improve this would be to put one of those shields up that stops the stone chips hitting it. We do have rock tamers on the car, but obviously any time you take it on bitumen or off-road, it's going to get that little bit of damage from the road. So in terms of the durability of the wrap, we have had it rafted up overnight with other boats. As long as you've got fenders in between the boats, it doesn't phase the wrap at all. It hasn't damaged it one bit. We've also had it never parked in shade. It's never had a cover on it. It's always out in the sun, always out in the elements, and that has not faded the wrap at all. The only damage that the wrap has had is stone chips from driving it on the road and on off-road tracks as well. They are very minor and they don't take away from the overall look of the wrap. They're very, very tiny and they're up the front. We have also had some fuel spill on the side of the boat that was left to bake in the sun for a couple of days. It did stain it for about a week, but then after that it faded. The only way to mitigate this would be wash the fuel off straight away, as you would normally do, but we didn't know what happened.
So the flooring, another thing we absolutely love. This was done by Okideck, which is a U-deck flooring. So we've gone a teak on white. Now, everyone was a bit skeptical when we went this, as they thought the white would stain easy with squid ink, red dirt, dirty feet, fish guts, all that kind of stuff. And it does stain it. But you would have seen in a lot of my videos, you can literally just go to the car wash and just get the pressure hose there, which isn't that high pressure, spray it off, and it comes straight out. So it's super easy to clean, comes out very quickly. However, we have had a couple of more stubborn stains, namely squid ink, or like if you cut a fish open and like its guts or biley stuff comes out. So I messaged the guys at Okideck and I said, how do we get these more stubborn ones out? Because they kind of come out, but they like smudge a little bit. Anyway, they just sent us a photo of some Nappy Sand Oxy-Action bleach spray, which I'll put a picture above in this video. And you just spray it on and scrub it with like a medium density brush and it comes straight out. That easy. So I was skeptical on that because I didn't think it would come out so easy. But yeah, the white is super white, which you'll be able to see in our videos, and it comes up quite nicely. So let's talk about the EVA or foam flooring compared to carpet or just a steel bottom. So it's cool on the feet, it's soft, it doesn't get all the guts and that stuck in it like carpet does. You can just hose it off and clean it really nice and easy. Overall, every way, I think it's better and it looks way better, and you can design it any way you want with any patterns, colors, anything. You might have seen Fantasy's boat recently. Grey, bright orange, massive red emperor in it. Looks sick. So durability of it is probably the big question because it's not cheap, this stuff. And a lot of people ask, how tough is it? So we are overall a little bit rough. I'd say we're the kind of people that really look after our stuff when we can. So when you're on the road and you're off grid for 2 to 3 months and you haven't been to a car wash or you haven't been somewhere where you can clean your stuff nicely, like fishing rods with nice fresh water, give the boat a nice scrub, clean underneath the car, it gets hard and your life lives in your car, so it's hard to get it all out and clean it when you're off grid and there's no water. So overall durability of it, I'd say it is quite hardy. So we do have some little nicks and cuts and scratches in it, which I'll show you. This is from me putting fish straight on the deck. So fish like snapper or red emperor that can get a bit of size to them and are quite spiny. They fluff around, jump around, usually have a big jig or bottom meat in their mouth because that's what we like to fish with. So it's either that, like hitting the deck and pulling into it like a hook, or the spines of the fish. I don't really know how else you could damage it unless you're dropping like really heavy sinkers, or yeah, you get a knife that kicks into it. Like I wear Crocs on the boat, so they're not going to damage it. If you were barefoot, it's not going to damage it. Hasn't faded at all. But yeah, overall durability, I'd say it is very durable. Definitely can get some nicks on it though, and ours definitely has, but it's been from a fair amount of pressure to it. Another thing to be aware of, which the guys told us, is if you are going to pressure wash it, I used one at a mate's house the other day and it was like the most high power pressure washer I've ever used. If you do get that really close to it, it will damage it. I didn't, luckily, but that was what Okideck was like. That's the one thing you got to be careful of. Don't get it too close because the pressure just obviously can lift it up around the edges and stuff. We've had no lifting. Ours is in good nick overall. There's been no fading, and yeah, super happy with it. The big thing Okideck also told us about the flooring is to have no reflection on it. So you've got like open aluminium parts of the boat, or like really bright paint where the light can bounce off it and onto the flooring, that can fade it. So what Okideck have done is they usually put panels above where that might happen. So they'll just put like a little strip of the flooring in an area, which might look a bit weird, but they're doing it as like an anti-reflection device so that the sun doesn't bounce off it and then hit the floor and yeah, make it fade over time. To mitigate the scratches and bumps and stuff, that we've got on our flooring though is just you could get the fish straight in the kill tank or get it up on the cast deck or somewhere else where it's not going to jump around and cause damage, or keep it in the net. That isn't always the most practical thing to do, as everyone would know. So there isn't the best way to do this. And yeah, ours is a fishing boat. It's designed to go fishing and catch fish in it. So there is going to be some wear and tear. If you just have like a cruise boat or like a yacht or something where that's not happening, I reckon the flooring could last so long. Like, I don't know what the time frame is on it, but if you're looking after it, giving it a clean, it'll definitely last a long time. But if you do have a panel that starts to get damaged or worn, you'd be able to take it back to one of the floor fitting places and they could just remove that panel and put a new one on. So it's something that could be easily replaced. So the layout of the boat and a few other things that we haven't covered. So we've got the Marlin boards and the rail cages, which Andre added at the end of the build. So this was something I wasn't super familiar with or hadn't seen on a lot of boats, but it's starting to get a bit more popularity. Basically creates another fishing platform, which specifically for us casting lures is awesome. So because we have a roof or it's like a T-top, you can get away from under that if there's someone up on the cast deck and cast lures off the back. It's great when you're diving because you've got some cage arm platforms to grab onto. The rear Marlin board decking is actually quite large as well, so you've got a lot of room to sit there, put your fins on, all that kind of stuff. It's great for the girls and blokes when they want to go to the toilet because you can't just hold on and do your business out the back and you're hidden away from everyone, which has been great on many trips where we've been on the boat for many days. We've also added more rod holders on the back, so you give another opportunity to troll or just rod storage there as well. But yeah, this is something I'll definitely put on my next boat build, and I think it makes the boat look a bit cooler also. So while as being aesthetically pleasing, yeah, it's definitely functional for casting lures, having another space to troll and being easy to get in and out of the boat. So at the back, we've got the rear bait board and the 2 storage hubs. So bait board's awesome. I think it's a great size. Got a heap of rod holders on the back and it all drains out. This is something we use a lot as we do like to use bait with our fishing, and you can also fillet your fish up here, which is really nice and handy. 2 storage containers, got absolutely no issues with these. One, we've got our radio and chargers in there so we can charge up our phones, cameras, etc. And then the one underneath, we got our dual battery system set up. So you could change this arrangement, you could put some drawers in there, you could have bait box holders, toolbox holders, all different kind of things. But for how we fish, I think this is the perfect setup. I wouldn't change anything with this. Another thing to add for those Marlin boards is that we have put a bin on one side, which has been such a good addition to the boat, because when we're out at sea for multiple days, you can chuck all your rubbish in it, get your bait out of the way, it's not stinking up somewhere else in the boat, it's not stinking up your esky, you can put all your cans and all the stuff that you use throughout the day, and then it's all in a nice bag when you get off, take it out, throw it in the bin, and you can just wash that rubbish bin out. So it's not stinking up anywhere else in the boat, and it also keeps everything nice and neat and tidy. So a couple of things that we've talked to Andre about that if we were to do this build again, that we would add or change. So this is great information for people to know that are thinking about building a boat themselves or designing a bigger boat, or just to get some ideas of what we've kind of realized on our travels that would be a bit more beneficial. And you don't really know this until you do your trip. And the beauty about these boats is they're fully customizable and they're alley. So you can get this stuff added after the fact, even though it's a bit more annoying, or you can put it in your pre-build plan. So one thing that I think would be a good idea, and I'm not sure why it's not common in a lot of boats, but is to make that rear transom storage area flat and build it all the way across. So you see in most boats like ours, you have the storage area that's angled in, you've got your bait board, you've got your 2 cupboards, looks really good. And I think that's the main reason why a lot of boat builders do it, because it looks nice and neat and tidy. There could be another reason that I'm not aware of. But anyway, I am more about practicality of fishing because I'm a fisherman. So what I would do is I'll just flatten that, because you never really fish in that back corner. It might make it a little bit harder to get over the top and step down to the ladder or those Marlin boards, but I'd flatten that out, and on one side I'd have a live bait tank, and then on the other side I would have a 50-litre freshwater supply. So it would be more of like a big square block or rectangle block at the back, but I could fill that with more storage, bait tank, water, and really maximize that space, because you never fish in that back corner. It's not really used all that much. All you're doing is pushing forward like 100 mil, creating a heap more room and making it a bit more practical. So this is the area here I'm talking about on the transom where you can fill it in, make it flush, and you can put a live bait tank here or some fresh water. As I said, this is an aesthetic thing, I think, or it might be structural. I don't know enough about building boats, but if you could flatten this out, that just maximizes all that space down here. It gives you more room for water, bait tank, bigger bait board, storage. Another thing which I don't personally use is the kill tank. It's just something I don't really seem to use that much. I never really put fish in there, kind of get them on the deck, bleed them over the side, and then I put them in the esky. I don't like to have them sitting in there or dealing with them for too long because I want to keep them nice and cool, have the meat fresh and straight on ice. So I would replace the 150 litre kill tank with 150 litres of fuel, or if I could add more fuel to the boat, I would get the maximum amount for 500 litres. We don't often need that much fuel for the trips we do, but because we're remote, with more fuel we have, the less times we have to go all the way back in town to fill it up. So at the moment, we've got a 160 litre fuel bladder from Niche Outdoors, which we keep in the kill tank, and that's been a bit of a game changer, but it kind of gives us the best of both worlds as well, because if you were going to use the kill tank, well, you still can use it. Like, I am only taking that fuel bladder with me when I need to, or if you are someone that does use a kill tank, it's perfect for you as well. You'd still be able to add more fuel to this build and keep the kill tank, but that's just something you'd have to discuss with the boat builder. Another feature I really love on this boat that makes it look really sleek and is well thought out is the little side hatches in the center of the boat that has the EPIRB and the fire extinguisher. Super smart idea, keeps it really safe. If anything ever does happen, they're right in arm's reach, and this is a design I'd definitely put on another boat. Rod holder placement and drink holders, or your beer can holders. Now, me and Andre got in the shed at the end of the build and we nutted this out together, and I think we nailed it. So I'm no expert in any of this, so I got a lot of advice and recommendations from him. But basically, we wanted to see if we could get a boat my size that you could troll 6 rods with. And you can. So we've got rod holder at the back, and then one a third of the way down, slightly angled out. You can troll one off the roof, and you can troll one off the bait board. We even got a third one further up that you can troll straight out, or you can put an outrigger on to give you another option, or put a teaser. And we have tried it with 6, and it is successful. Me and Em very rarely do this, as it is just a bit of a headache if you hook up more than 2 fish. Not that that's a bad problem to have, but with 2 people trying to drive the boat and get it all in, it's not super efficient. But very happy with the placements we've done. It can be something that can be copied going forward. Also, absolute game changer is the drink holders right in front of the rod holders. So because we jig a lot and we use bottom meats or heavy sinkers a lot, you just open the bail arm a little bit, drop your jig in there when you're moving, and they're not flying around, they're not a danger, nothing's getting in the way, and you can have all your rods ready to go on your trip out, pick the jig up straight out of the rod holder, or sorry, like the drink holder, and you're ready to go. Things I would love to have on this boat, but don't have the money to do, would be to have a min coder or the new Simrad Recon. That would absolutely level up my fishing. Again, I had it on my old boat, and like for barra fishing, it's just a necessity. I think these days, or any estuary fishing is an absolute game changer. But if you get change of tide or there's not much current ripping through, you can sit on spots, especially in the Pilbara, Karratha areas where you're fishing just a tiny little rock or a tiny little bump. You can sit on that, you can jig it, and you're going to make sure that you're going to get fish. Whereas if you're trying to drift over it, you really only get 1 or 2 shots at hitting them on the drift if you're lucky, and then you got to make sure you line up the next drift perfectly. I would also love an electric winch, because that can get me out of trouble if you get stuck on the sand like I did not long ago. Also very easy if you're just pulling up to spots and moving around a bit, which when we're up in the Buccaneer Archipelago, doing big missions, lots of driving and making sure that you're on the spot perfectly, that would have been very handy rather than trying to pull your anchor up in 30, 40, 50 meters with ripping tides. So that's another addition. If I had the money, I'll definitely go for. Trim tabs. Now this is something we touched on in the original video. It's one of the first things I said to Andre was, will I need to put trim tabs on the boat? He's like, nah, ride's good. We won't have any issues. I was like, yeah, righto, no worries, mate. Anyway, he is pretty correct in that it is a super stable ride. It hardly moves around and it doesn't bump, so trim tabs aren't necessary. But if I had the money for Seakeeper, I would get them because it would make the boat more fuel efficient. It would make it ride better. And from all my mates that have got them, seem to be an absolute game changer. I would also love to get autopilot because when I'm going out to the Monties regularly and it's kind of like a 2 to 3 hour steam, straight out, weather's good, that would be something very handy to have. Now, these are all just the extra little fancy bits where you've got the money, you can do it, and that can all be put into a boat build. I don't have the money to do all this stuff, so I'm not doing it. But these are kind of the wish list dream things. I'm going to chuck it over to a few of my mates who've been out in the boat with us. We haven't actually taken heaps of people out. It's always usually just been me and Em, and there's a few other people who are a bit too shy to go on camera. I think a couple of these guys were also pretty shy, but cheers to them for giving it a crack. And yeah, I've had some awesome memories with them and glad they like the boat.
Hey guys, we're Bree and Darcy. We had one of our best days out on the reef in Blue Dog. This day we decided to actually head out to Long Island, which is a pretty big trek. How far is it actually?
Oh, it's 30 mile at least.
Yeah, 30 mile. So we didn't really know what to expect. However, unreal.
Yeah, it was midday. Whales everywhere. It's glass in the morning, glamour. And then, yeah, the wind come in towards the arvo and we thought we were going to get a bit wet. So we stayed in our wetsuits for a bit because we had a dive out at Long. And then, yeah, boat stayed nice and dry. We ended up getting changed. Didn't really need to stay in the wetsuits. It was mint. Boat handle's awesome. For a centre console, you think you get a little bit wet, but yeah, ride's awesome. It's nice and stable. Favourite parts about the boat's probably the actual centre console itself. It's awesome that you can stand up on that top deck, have a look out. It's mint for like searching for whales, things like that. Then probably all the sounder setup he had, like them two Simrads, like they go mint. And yeah, like the way you could adjust the gain and see the bottom, it's awesome setup for fishing and even diving too. It's mint. That back platform and getting through where the ladder is, and probably all that deck armour all the way around the boat. It's mint to stand on. It's nice underfoot. But yeah, we had a mint day. Love that boat, and it's a bit of a head turner as well. It's awesome.
Absolutely, and we got some epic fish that day.
Yeah, we did. A couple reds. It's good.
Overall, wicked day. Can't wait to get back out on it.
Love your work.
The Blue Dog. Yeah, it's a sick boat. It's just the perfect combination of size to be able to go do whatever you want in it, go anywhere, go offshore as far as you like, but still be able to handle it on your own and travel with it. Yeah, I've actually never been in a boat. At one time we went off Augusta. It was like a 5 or 6 metre swell, and Jaden decided to punch it between the islands, which I only have a tiny boat. I'd never do that anyway. But yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know about this one, mate. Maybe we should go around. And then he was like, nah, fuck it, we'll hit it. Yeah, and did not feel unsafe at all. Just like bulldogged its way through. I felt like we could have a wave break over the front of it and you could just punch through in it. It's yeah, pretty heavy duty, like very heavy duty boat for what it is. Like I was amazed. I've never been in something with those capabilities, I guess. Closest thing would be when I was a kid in my grandpa's big Haynes, but so that's been years. Yeah, so we get out past the islands and then there's just like bombies and shit going on everywhere. The ocean's about as raw as it gets, though I don't think there was another boat out there, for a good reason too. But yeah, you just bloody point and shoot and there's no dramas, which is pretty cool. Like I ended up just throwing up all morning, but we won't talk about that. And then what's another time up in Exmouth? Fuck yeah, that was one of the best weeks of my life. Pretty much just on a fishing safari for 5 days straight, fishing all day, every day. Yeah, So, you know, you compare the two, you go up for like pretty good conditions in Exmouth, really, and then the raw southern WA ocean, and it can handle all of it and everything in between. Yeah, pretty much a dream boat, I think.
I met Twiggy about 2 or 3 months ago now down in Exie, and the legend ended up taking me out on the Blue Dog. So it's probably only the second or third time I've been on a plate boat, and pretty good. Rides really well, super solid. Like, I'm sure it's very heavy, and towing wise would probably be a little bit much for the Prado at times, but yeah, ride's really nice, heaps of room, heaps of rod holders, super nice to fish off. We took it out off Broome the other day in some pretty like sloppy conditions, and yeah, she did really well. So definitely would recommend one. Yeah.
So to summarise the whole boat, basically it rides like a dream. It's super dry. I love the look. I love the shape. I love the hull. It's fuel efficient. It's a head turner, and it finds fish. Only things that I would change, I've gone over in detail in the video, which is more accessory things. But the raw bones and grunt is everything I could ask for in a boat. Still to this day, every time I go out and look at it, I'll stare at it for a good 20, 30 seconds and just admire it. And it's a bit cringy, but I love it, and I'll keep doing that. I'm just very, very lucky to be given this opportunity, and none of this is biased at all. If you've ever met me and know me, I'll say things how they are, might add a bit of mayo on top of it, but I'm a person to say exactly how I see things. So take what you want from this, ask us any questions, chuck them down below. And if you want to keep up with more of our adventures, we're on Instagram, TikTok, all those things that give you a bit more of a daily update. We'll be doing a trailer review very, very soon.